Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
We're following some breaking news right now. An earthquake in San Francisco. New information coming in about a 4.3 magnitude earthquake. What people in the Bay Area are waking up to this morning. One person is confirmed dead after an overnight crash in Apex. Our first look at the damage as crews remain at the site this morning.
Two things you need to know as you head out the door. It's going to be a comfortable first day of fall today, but summer comes back in overtime later this week, and then we get some much needed rain.
Upgrade debate. State lawmakers are expected to talk about an arena funding as they return to Raleigh today, how this could factor into plans for the Lenovo Center. 8 o'clock this morning. We always appreciate your time here in the 8 o'clock hour on Fox 50. I'm Ken Smith. Let's get over to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center, tracking what is supposed to be the first day of fall.
Yeah, and it's going to feel great out there today. High temperatures in the low 80s, lots of sunshine, just a few high, thin clouds out there. Up near the Virginia line, there's been a little bit of patchy fog, but definitely a comfortable start this morning, 62 degrees, and our dew point sitting at 60, which is nice and comfortable. Our temperatures across the area starting to warm up a touch. We started mid 50s to around 60. It's 62 now in Southern Pines, still 57 in Goldsboro, 60 in South Hill and in Rocky Mount. Our temperature climbs to just 75 at lunchtime, so very comfortable. One of the nicest lunch hours you may have this week. And then highs climb into the low 80s, which is close to normal. But summer returns by Wednesday and Thursday. We're going to talk about why and how hot it'll be coming up. We still have 3 systems that are out here in the tropics. We'll focus on Gabrielle first. It became a hurricane yesterday. It is pulling away from Bermuda, but could become a Category 3 as it moves away. I'll check out the other 2 in just a few minutes.
All right, Elizabeth, we're following some breaking news. An earthquake woke up a number of people with a sharp jolt in San Francisco this morning. That's according to the U.S. Geological Survey. It was a 4.3 magnitude earthquake just south of Berkeley, just about 3 o'clock this morning Pacific time, which was 6 a.m. our time. Several posts on social media say it is the biggest one felt there in years. Right now, officials are investigating to see if anyone is hurt. We'll bring you any updates and any reactions we find in this quake right here on Fox 15, of course, on WRAL.com. We're also following some breaking news around here. Crews are cleaning up after a scene of a deadly crash on Highway 64 this morning. This happened near US 1 and Salem Street late last night. WRAL's Ali Cadlebar is there in the breaking news track. And Ali, you saw the car loaded onto a tow truck and taken away.
Yes, the scene cleared about an hour ago. We just spoke with a person who lives at this home right here. They heard the crash happen. They heard commotion outside of their yard. That's because that car crashed and veered off of US 64 right here. You can see the tire tracks. You can see debris here. And then it kept going and crashed into this wooded area. You can also see that front bumper and even the headlights. This was a serious crash. Police on the scene tell us that one person died. This is video from the WRAL breaking news tracker of the tow truck pulling it out of the woods, and you can see how damaged that car is. The crash happened around 10:30 last night on US 64. This is near Shepherd's Vineyard Drive. Police on the scene again confirming that at least one person was killed in this crash. We have reached out to Apex Police Department. We are waiting on an update on how many people were involved in this crash and if there were any other injuries. We, of course, are going to keep you updated right here on WRAL. Reporting live in Apex, Ali Cadlebar, WRAL News.
Authorities say 7 teenagers are back in a Raleigh mental health facility this morning after they escaped last night. Police say officers were called to the South Campus of Holly Hill Hospital. That's around 8 o'clock last night. After learning the teenagers escaped, several law enforcement agencies began a search. The teenagers were found about 3 hours later. As for now and how they escaped, that's a question WRAL investigates. Will be asking Holly Hill management today. WRAL has done a number of investigative pieces on Holly Hill Hospital, including 2 other reports of teens escaping, violations in standards of care that could have prevented previous escapes, and other investigations by the state. You can find all our coverage on our website, WRAL.com. Well, state lawmakers are returning to Raleigh today. Funding for arenas in our state is one of the many topics that will be discussed. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey live at the Lenovo Center this morning. Kelsey, we're still trying to learn exactly which arenas could be affected by this.
Yes, Ken, we are, but there are really two big questions that we're asking right now. The first is, will the Lenovo Center be included in this possible funding? And then if they are included, then how will that funding be used? Sources tell our NC Capitol team lawmakers are discussing a proposal for arenas in our state. It includes $35 million for infrastructure improvements. If the Lenovo Center gets picked, the money could be funneled through NCDOT. WRAL sports investigative reporter Brian Murphy explains how the funding could be put to use.
Center that's undergoing a $300 million renovation plus a $1 billion enhancement, redevelopment around the arena. And it makes sense that that arena will need some other work done. The roads that lead into the Lenovo Center are going to have to be expanded.
Our NC Capitol team is saying that we could learn more about lawmakers' plans this week. This funding here is not a guarantee, but what is a guarantee is that the Canes will be back on the ice tonight here at the Lenovo Center for their preseason home opener. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
And staying on the subject of lawmakers returning to Raleigh, we're getting new information about new spending bills that are being debated. Lawmakers have rolled out a number of bills, including proposals to beef up disaster relief and address health care shortfalls. The legislature still hasn't passed a new state budget, and GOP leaders don't appear any closer to a deal on taxes, raises for state workers, and other big items. But they are trying to work on other issues. Millions more for Medicaid funding will also be proposed. So will $40 million for more Helene relief and $15 million for Tropical Storm Chantal, which hit central North Carolina 2 months ago. Well, UNC Wilmington reopening this morning after false threats of a gunman last week. You recall this story vividly, I'm sure. The school's campus was closed Friday. The university was put on lockdown Thursday night after false threats circulated on campus. UNCW's Chancellor Aswani Valati shared a message ahead of the return to class today.
All to choose curiosity over anger. True learning happens when we thoughtfully exchange ideas that challenge us, when we agree that it's okay to disagree, all while showing respect for the humanity among us. This is how we grow as individuals and as a Seahawk community.
Chancellor Valenti says there will be more security measures today, including more police officers at main campus entrances and patrols around campus. We are working to learn new information about a deadly shooting in Rocky Mount. One person is dead and 4 others are in the hospital this morning. It happened on Benvenue Road between Bridgewood Road and Sunset Drive yesterday morning. One neighbor who lives nearby where the shooting happened says he heard shouting and a fight before the gunfire. Another neighbor, Deborah Simmons, described the early morning scene.
I woke up and I saw all these police car lights blinking in my bedroom window, and there was folks all in the yard, and I went outside to see, and there was, I think, every policeman in the town of Rocky Mount out there.
We're working to learn the conditions of the people still in the hospital, as well as the names of all the victims and what led up to that shooting. President Trump is expected to meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky this week. This is happening as tensions between the U.S. and Russia are escalating. The talks will happen at the UN General Assembly. President Trump says he will defend Baltic states and Poland from Russia if necessary. Recently, Russian strikes hit close to Ukraine's border with Poland, and NATO jets shot down Russian drones that crossed into Poland's airspace while attacking Ukraine. The UN Security Council is holding an emergency meeting today. Also happening today, several groups are hosting a free car seat event in Apex. This is part of Child Passenger Safety Week. It's National Highway Traffic Safety Administration effort to ensure children are in the right car seat. The administration says in 2023, 43% of children killed in crashes were not restrained. Car seats can prevent serious injuries and death. Today's event is at 10 o'clock at the Target at Beaver Creek Commons at Apex. Now, you have to bring your children to be eligible for a new car seat. Hey, the Kansas City Chiefs picked up their first win of the season during Sunday Night Football. I can't imagine saying that, right? The Chiefs led the entire second half. Then they really put the game away, reaching in the fourth quarter thanks to Kareem Hunt's touchdown. The final score was 22-9. The Giants are now 0-3 this season. The Chiefs will square off against the Ravens next week. How about this? The Carolina Panthers winning their first game of the season, and they did it in a major way. The Panthers are shutting down the Atlanta Falcons 30-0. It was Carolina's first shutout since 2020. The Panthers look to build momentum against the New England Patriots next week. Still to come, Southern Steel, a company reportedly wants to set up steel production in the eastern part of our state. Well, the company is telling WRAL about its search for a site. And remembering Charlie Kirk, tens of thousands of people attended his memorial in Arizona, how his surviving family and the Trump administration remembered him.
And heading out the door right now feels comfortable and looks beautiful. This is a live look at downtown Apex with lots of sunshine. Today will feel great on the first day of fall, but I'll show you a big pattern change that brings summer back coming up. 8:13 is a pretty start here in Sanford. Beautiful sunshine and feels comfortable too. Our muggy meter is sitting right here because we're halfway between comfy and tolerable, but it feels good out there. Temperature, dew point temperature right at 60. It's 59 in Roxborough, 61 in Fayetteville. Actual temperatures are upper 50s to low 60s right now with a good bit of sunshine. Walking the dog right now feels great. Lunchtime, if you can be outside, it's going to feel wonderful. This afternoon, not bad. We're close to normal in the low 80s, and this evening we drop into the 70s pretty quickly. We're definitely in need of some rain. We have a front that'll help to bring warm temperatures ahead of it, and then some rain with it by Friday. We'll go over that in just a bit.
And Elizabeth, here I'm looking at traffic to see how things are going for people out on the roads. I tell you what, I-87 at Smithfield Road, it's looking pretty free and clear. No delays. I don't see any crashes. This is good. We like to see this. In terms of the traffic map, I can see there are different crash icons, though. So I'm going to investigate to see if there's anything significant that might be slowing you down. Looks like there on I-40, it could be there near the Apex direction. Come back to me in just a couple minutes. We'll have some drive times for you here in the WRAL Traffic Center.
Steel startup U.S. Forge Ring says it is seriously considering some North Carolina sites for a factory. The company is looking at the eastern part of our state. It says this could create hundreds of high-paying jobs. The project could also bring hundreds of millions of dollars in investments to our state. USFR tells our NC Capitol team it's looking for land with access to waterways and rail.
Northeastern North Carolina has that. They're right there on the Chowan River, which feeds into the Albemarle Sound, which is part of the Intercoastal Waterway, and it has a lot of access to rail. So that could be a very good location for them. Now, sources tell us that a steel company that fits the description of U.S. Forged Rings just so happens to be looking in Northeastern North Carolina.
Well, for more information about these projects, go to WRAL.com. Well, tens of thousands of people gathered for the memorial service of Charlie Kirk. The conservative activist was shot and killed earlier this month while speaking to college students at Utah Valley University. Kirk's widow, Erica, delivered the eulogy at the State Farm Stadium in Arizona. During her remarks, she said she has forgiven the man suspected of killing her husband.
I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do. The answer to hate is not hate.
Members of the Trump administration were also in attendance, including the president, who delivered the final speech saying history would remember Kirk.
Did what was right for our nation. And so on that terrible day, September 10th, 2025, our greatest evangelist for American liberty became immortal.
FBI Director Kash Patel posted a lengthy update on the investigation into alleged shooter Tyler Robinson yesterday. He promised the FBI is meticulously investigating theories and questions about this case. Several nations have officially recognized Palestinian state. That includes the UK, Canada, and Australia. This happened as there's growing disapproval over Israel's actions in the nearly 2-year-long war in Gaza. Britain says it made the decision after Israel failed to reach a ceasefire deal. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the establishment of a Palestinian state will, quote, not happen. Well, these announcements happened on the same day Israel continued its offensive on Gaza City. Gaza health authorities say 31 people were killed in Israeli strikes on residential buildings. Hundreds of people were sent out into the streets. Well, today marks the official start of fall, but we still don't see equal day and night. Meteorologist Chris Michaels explaining why today is Ask the Meteorologist. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Ken. Good morning. Yeah, so today at 2:19 is the official start to fall. And I don't know about you guys, but I remember learning in school that meant equal day and night. Well, kind of, sort of. We're close, but not quite there. So the sun center, what it does is it passes over the equator from the north to the south. That happens at 2:19 this afternoon. But because of how sunlight is measured and the refraction that goes on in the atmosphere, it kind of changes things up a little bit. So refraction is just a fancy word for bending the sunlight in the atmosphere. So it can cause it to look like the sun is above the horizon when it's actually below. That's the way daylight is measured, and it's a bit longer the farther north you go of the equator. So today we see 12 hours, 8 minutes of daylight. Again, kind of splitting hairs there, but the exact equal 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of darkness. That happens Friday with sunrise at 7:06 a.m., sunset at 7:06 p.m., and instead of the equinox, it's called the equilux, and that happens this Friday.
I'm smarter every time we ask the meteorologist. Chris, thanks. Listen, a local man died 5 months before his wedding. Now his grieving family is battling with a local wedding venue, refusing to issue a refund. 5 News Side's Keely Arthur has a preview.
It started out so well. A Durham couple engaged in Italy set a wedding date of October 11th, 2025. But tragedy struck just about 5 months before the big day. On May 12th of this year, Chris collapsed, dying unexpectedly. By that point, Chris Perry, the man who died, and his fiancee had already given more than $18,000 to the venue. I checked the contract. That money was non-refundable, but considering the circumstances and the months before the wedding day, the family was hopeful for a refund, but the venue declined.
And they did say to us initially that if they could rent the venue for the same or more money, they might consider refunding some of the money, but the venue rental was non-refundable. So they're going to collect the venue rental twice for the one event or for that one night. How does that make any sense? Once again, profiting from the death of our son.
Tonight, the response from the venue and why one industry professional says the family should at least get some of that deposit back. Keely Arthur, 5 on your side.
All right, time now to get over to a forecast. We're seeing a really nice day shaping up behind me. It feels more like summer, really, even though today, Elizabeth, is the first day of fall as of this afternoon.
It is. It is also the peak of the hurricane season, so we're tracking that as well. Gabrielle became a hurricane yesterday afternoon. It is moving away from the U.S. It's moving away from Bermuda, fortunately. But there are 2 more systems. Both of those look like they're going to curve away from land as well. We'll keep our eye on it. They're all just stacked up out here. Here's Gabrielle. Here's the 30%. There's the 60% chance of developing. But we'll start with Gabrielle here. It's moving northwest at 10 miles per hour, winds at 90. It is developing a pretty well-defined eye, which means it's strengthening. It could become Category 3 by early tomorrow. But again, it is pulling away from Bermuda. I mean, they'll have the usual heavy surf, possibly some erosion, some breezy conditions, and potentially some rain out of the system. But it's not going to be a major impact because it's passing on the east side of the storm. We take a look at, these just jumped significantly. New update here, 40% for the one that's approaching the Bahamas, and then the one that's farther out to sea is 70%. But with the current pattern spinning Gabrielle out to sea, the upper level winds should do the same with these 2 storms. We'll keep a close eye on it. A live look at Apex this morning showing beautiful sunshine. Our next weather maker doesn't arrive until much later in the week. Ahead of it, especially by Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to see a lot of heat and humidity building ahead of this front. The front itself helps to bring us a chance for showers and thunderstorms on Thursday. We'll pause it there. And then again on Friday, that will be the heaviest rain. We could have 2 nice days worth of rain, just 30% Wednesday, but 40 Thursday, 60 on Friday. And we may be able to bump that up. As a matter of fact, take a look at these rainfall totals. Up to 1 inch in our eastern counties, up to 2.5 inches in our western counties. We definitely need it. But Thursday and Friday, we'll be on the lookout for flooding. There's a low risk both of those days. Our temperatures ahead of Friday's front will be hot, 91 on Wednesday, 90 on Thursday. I'll let you know when we tend to see our average last 90-degree day of the year coming up.
The WRAL breaking news tracker pulled up to a scene within the past 5 minutes, and this is a car crash that was at the Southwest Maynard and Kilmaine Drive. What you're seeing here is an image from our photojournalist there, and you'll see there are officers in the back that are roping off the area so people can't access where this crash happened. In terms of the severity of this, we are trying to get more specifics on that. If you look at the map here, you'll see down near where Carrie is, that's where this is all going on. I've been trying to find more specifics on that, and as soon as we have that, we'll report it here on WRAL. But meanwhile, there are other crash icons that you can see there that we're monitoring as well. In terms of your drive times, though, I'm looking to see how things are if you're traveling around to Raleigh in town. Doesn't look like too bad there in terms of delays there, maybe a little bit on the Beltline as you move toward Wendell. As soon as we have more updates on that traffic situation in Cary, we'll report it here on WRAL News.
Cracking down on crime, state lawmakers are expected to address the deadly Charlotte stabbing when they return to Raleigh today, the changes to the justice system that are up for debate. Selling false hope, 5-on-your side alerting you to social media influencers falsely claiming to help scam victims recover lost money.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning. It's 7:26. I'm Ken Smith. Let's go over to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner of the WRAL Severe Weather Center, tracking how your day is shaping up.
Pretty start to the day on this first official day of fall. 60 degrees right now in Wilson, 62 in Durham, and 61 in Fayetteville. There's some high, thin clouds out there, but those will be, not enough to cause any real issues for us. We'll still see mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies today. At lunchtime, mid-70s. If you can find some time to get outside, it should be a very enjoyable lunch hour. And our highs only climb into the low 80s, which is close to normal. Today we stay dry, but we have some much needed rain in our forecast toward the end of the week.
On the scene of a breaking news scene right now in Cary. This is on Southwest Maynard and Kilmaine Drive. It appears to be some sort of crash, and you'll see there are investigators there. And there's this Toyota right here with a bent hood, and then you'll see the driver's side where the windshield is, and it has significant damage to the glass there. In terms of what led up to this is what we're trying to get right now. Again, this is a live look right now from Cary. As soon as we get more information, we'll report it here on WRAL News.
This morning, crews removed a car that was stuck in the woods after a deadly crash. This happened on Highway 54 in Shepherd Vineyard Drive in Apex. The road was shut down for hours, but has since reopened. At least one person died in that crash. UNCW is reopening this morning after false threats of a gunman last week. The school's campus was closed Friday. UNCW leaders say there will be more law enforcement officers on campus today. Next on Fox 50, state lawmakers return to Raleigh today to discuss a number of bills. And coming up on Today, an inside look as Craig goes behind the scenes with the Sunday Night Football timeout coordinator.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
And that breaking news is about an earthquake in San Francisco. People were woken up by a rumble this morning in the Bay Area, just how strong that earthquake was. We're also following some breaking news around here. Deadly crash investigation. At least one person is dead after an overnight crash in Apex, where crews stand at the cleanup on that crash more than 8 hours later.
Want to know as you head out the door. First, today is very comfortable for the first day of fall, but summer comes back in overtime in just a couple of days, and then we get some much needed rain.
Also, arena updates. The Lenovo Center renovations could mean a new outside look. What state lawmakers are expected to discuss this week about that funding. Thanks so much for joining us here in 8:30 on Fox 50. We always appreciate your time. I'm Ken Smith. Let's get back over to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center, tracking how our day is shaping up.
Not a bad one at all. Lots of sunshine here as we take a look across Garner from our tower cameras. Some high, thin clouds for sure, but that's not going to have a big impact on our day. You'll notice those high, thin clouds. It is 62 with a dew point of 60, so a nice, comfortable start this morning. Our temperatures will climb fairly quickly, but right now we're mainly in the low 60s. We'll end up in the mid 70s by lunchtime and highs in the low 80s for this afternoon. We do have much more heat in our forecast. I'll show you when we tend to see the last 90-degree day of the year. Obviously, we're going to be passing by that one.
I'm going to take you outside right now to Cary. This is where there's a scene of a crash right here. You'll see there's Toyota back here, and there is some crime scene tape that's blocking that off. The hood of it has been damaged, as has the driver's side of the windshield there. And you'll see this damage is significant. And then if we pan over to the right, you'll see further down the road, there are several officers that are there. Now, we are not exactly sure the outcome of this in terms of injuries, but you see that white tent that's right there? Typically, that is indicative that there possibly is a body in that area. We have not confirmed that yet, but that is what we are working on doing here at WRAL. In terms of where this is specifically, we're talking about East Maynard Road near East Chatham Street in Cary. And in terms of elsewhere across the triangle where we're seeing some crash icons, a little bit near Durham, a little bit there near Garner as well. We'll try to dive into those and see how serious those are and how they will affect your morning commute here on the WRAL Traffic Center.
All right, it's about 5:30 in the morning there on the West Coast, and we're getting new information about the earthquake in the San Francisco Bay Area. People are posting online, this is the largest they've ever felt. Others saying their homes shook. The earthquake was a magnitude 4.3. It struck just before 3 a.m. Pacific time, which is around 6 o'clock our time. It's not known yet if anyone is hurt or if there's any significant damage. We'll bring you any updates and any reactions as we find right here on Fox 15, of course, on WRAL.com. Well, this morning we're working to learn the name of the person who died in an overnight crash in Apex. This crash happened on Highway 64 and Shepherd's Vineyard Drive. Crews removed a car from the woods about 90 minutes ago. The road was shut down for hours, but has since reopened. WRAL's Ali Katlabar is live at that scene in the WRAL breaking news track. And Al, you've moved closer to that scene so you can see some debris and tracks on that car.
Ken, yes, we can see where that car veered off of US 64. We can see the tire marks here, the tracks as well, pieces of debris scattered here, all leading to this wooded area. That's where crews found that car wedged in those trees and branches, and it took them 8 hours to remove it from this area. This is video from the WRAL breaking news tracker of the moment that the tow truck was able to pull it out of the woods. It was piled under there for hours. You can see how severely damaged it is. It's tough to watch because we know from police that at least one person died in this crash. It happened around 10:30 last night. This is US 64 near Shepherd's Vineyard Drive. Listen to this broadcastify radio traffic of the moments that crews responded to find the car crashed in this wooded area.
All units here en route to US 64 Shepherd's Vineyard. We have a call on the line that's speaking to her son that's involved in a motor vehicle accident with several patients, one possible ejection.
And again, we know from police that one person died in this crash at least, and you can even see this front bumper, the headlight here. That car severely damaged. This was a serious crash. We have reached out to Apex Police. They say they are working on an update of what led up to this crash and how many people were involved. Reporting live in Apex, Ali Katlabar, WRAL News.
Morning, 7 teenagers who escaped from a mental health facility in Raleigh are back at that hospital tonight. Raleigh police say they got a call around 8 last night about a disturbance between some of the residents at Holly Hill South Campus. That's when they learned that 7 teens had escaped. Officers with Wake County Sheriff's deputies, State Capitol Police, along with canines and a drone in the sky, searched for more than 3 hours. The teens were found around 11 p.m. We're still working to learn how they escaped. This is at least the third escape from Holly Hill since 2024. WRAL has done a number of investigative pieces on the escapes, violations and standards of care that could have prevented previous escapes, and state investigations. You can find all our previous coverage on our website, WRAL.com, and in the WRAL News app. Also happening today, classes resume at UNCW for the first time since the false report of a shooter on campus. The school's campus was closed Friday. The university was on lockdown Thursday night after that false threat circulated on campus. UNCW's Chancellor Aswani Valati shared a message ahead of the return to class today. The university says students can expect to see more police officers on and around campus. UNC Chapel Hill also increased security following false threats. Police there increased patrols on campus just to be on the safe side. Well, the new this morning, President Trump is expected to make what he is calling a major announcement regarding autism. During Charlie Kirk's memorial service, the president said, quote, "I think we found the answer to autism," unquote. Reports from NBC News say the announcement is expected to link the development of autism in children with the use of Tylenol during pregnancy. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has previously promoted unfounded theories linking vaccines to autism and pledged that he would have answers this month. Right now, you're taking a live look at the state legislative building in downtown Raleigh. This morning, WRAL has learned details of a tough on crime bill that state lawmakers plans to pass next week. The bill is a response to a deadly stabbing in Charlotte last month that made national news. It's named after the victim, 23-year-old Irina Zarutsky, who had fled here from Ukraine. The bill will eliminate cashless bail in North Carolina and make it easier to commit people to mental hospitals. It will also make it more difficult for convicted murderers who are sentenced to death to appeal their conviction or their sentencing. The bill makes a number of other changes as well. For more information, just go to our website, WRAL.com. Lawmakers are expected to debate health care funding this week as well. North Carolina's short millions of dollars from Medicaid. The state legislature has been unable to pass a new budget. While everyone seems to agree there's an issue, no one agrees on how to fix it. Democratic Governor Josh Stein says the state needs $819 million. Republicans in the state House are proposing $792 million. Republicans in the state Senate propose $690 million. There's also a new proposal to ban people on Medicaid from coverage of GLP-1 drugs for weight loss. And you also have the fight over state funding for a new children's hospital. Check for updates on our reporting throughout the day on WRAL.com. Also new this morning, renovations around the Lenovo Center could mean big changes for how you get around that arena. State lawmakers are back this week and expect to discuss funding arena funding. As WRAL's Kelsey Coffey explains, lawmakers have floated a plan that would put millions into infrastructure improvements, and the Lenovo Center could benefit.
At this point, there are two big questions here. Will the Lenovo Center be included in this possible funding? And if it is, how will that money be used? Sources tell our NC Capitol team lawmakers are discussing a proposal for arenas in our state. It includes $35 million for infrastructure improvements. If the Lenovo Center gets picked, the money could be funneled through NCDOT. For example, the funding could be used to widen the roads around the arena. WRAL sports investigative reporter Brian Murphy explains how scoring this funding may not be a slam dunk.
Anything that's going to come out of the legislature is going to have to be a compromise between two chambers that haven't seen much reason to compromise up to this point. And so even if this proposal were introduced, there's no sense that it would definitely pass.
Our NC Capitol team says we may learn more about lawmakers' plans this week, and the funding here is not guaranteed. But what is a guarantee is the Canes will be back on the ice tonight here at the Lenovo Center for their preseason home opener. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
Now, that funding is tucked in a much larger Senate bill that includes disaster and for Chantal and hundreds of millions of dollars for capital projects all across our state. Well, this morning, we're working to learn more information about a deadly shooting in Rocky Mount. One person is dead and 4 others in a Rocky Mount area hospital. This all happened on Benvenue Road between Bridgewood Road and Sunset Drive yesterday morning. One neighbor who lives nearby where the shooting happened says he heard shouting and a fight before the gunfire. We're working to learn the conditions of the people still in the hospital, as well as the names of all the victims and what led up to that shooting. The Wake County Fire Marshal's office is investigating an explosion that led to a house fire. Investigators say it happened on Old Bunch Road yesterday morning. This is north of Wendell. Our breaking news tracker got this video near that house. You can see a Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives investigated on that scene. No injuries were reported, though. Investigators are working to determine what caused that explosion. We now know the name of the person who died in a fiery crash that closed the Wade Avenue ramp off I-40 East. Police say 22-year-old Connor Newell died. They say witnesses saw his car drive off the road and hit a bridge pillar before catching fire. This happened around 10 o'clock yesterday morning. Police are still working to learn what caused that crash. Authorities in New Hampshire say the man accused in a deadly shooting is a former employee of that country club. 23-year-old Hunter Nerdu was arrested shortly after the shooting Saturday night at the Sky Meadow Country Club. That's where police say they found a 59-year-old man dead at the host stand outside. 2 other people are in the hospital and 4 others were hurt. The state's attorney general says investigators are still searching for a motive. Selling false hope. 5 on your side is alerting you to social media influencers falsely claiming to help scam victims recover lost money. Also, deadline approaching. 8 counties impacted by Chantal are eligible for federal assistance, the last day to apply for federal loans. And it's the first official day of fall, though it may not feel like it because summer is putting in some overtime. We're looking live at Durham this morning. Coming up, meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner shows us when we could see our first chance for soaking rain in weeks. We could use it.
8:45, taking a look at Cary. This is, of course, a look over Fenton. Beautiful sunshine. It's going to be a nice day today. We're starting off pleasantly cool this morning, 62 in Gardner and Cary, 62 in Goldsboro and Durham, as well as Holly Springs. So feeling good out there. Our temperatures, of course, will climb into the low to mid 80s this afternoon. Kids going to practice right after school. Temperatures will be in the low 80s. Those evening practices, 6 o'clock down to 79. So it should be a pretty nice afternoon and evening for getting outside. We do have some summer-like heat back in our forecast. I'll show you how many days we'll see with highs in the 90s coming up.
And here in the WRAL Traffic Center, still keeping my eye on that situation in Cary. Again, this is on that road, East Maynard Road, southeast specifically, where you'll see that car, that Toyota right there, the dent in the hood, and there is, of course, that shattered part of the driver's side of the windshield there. In terms of what specifically led to all this, we're trying to get an official report from investigators. In fact, WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is headed there in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker as we speak. Further down the road, as you see, the photojournalist on scene there is giving us a look at the cars that are still passing through. So you shouldn't have issues getting through. It'll be a little slower, but that white tint down there, that's what we're focusing on, because typically when you see that, that means that someone may have died. Again, we're trying to get an official report from investigators. As soon as we have an update, we're reporting here on WRAL News.
Chris, thanks. Free money from Zelle or Cash App just for filling out a government form? That's what some TikTok influencers are claiming. 5 on your side's Ashley explains it's simply not true.
Victims of scams on peer-to-peer payment platforms like Zelle or Cash App may try anything to get their money back. Enter Darian Delevante and Gilbert Graham Jr., 2 social media influencers who have racked up millions of views, incorrectly claiming that filing a complaint with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau will get you a payout from these companies, even claiming you can be compensated even if you were not a scam victim.
Whether it happened to you or not, go put in a claim, because they about to have to run you that check.
They make it sound easy, even offering complaint templates for $77 and things like a credit repair guide for $24.99.
So with the CFPB losing funding, there's just not much oversight right now. And these influencers are jumping on that. They're really going after people who are struggling financially.
Graham did not respond to CR's request for comment. Delevante says Cash App and Zelle are unfairly targeting him to divert attention away from their own shortcomings in combating online fraud and scams. Consumer Reports says if you did buy into one of these influencers' financial products or followed their advice, consider filing complaints with the CFPB, the FTC, and the North Carolina Attorney General. Ashley Rowe, 5 on your side.
All right, the Federal Trade Commission suing Amazon. It accuses Amazon of illegally signing up people for Amazon Prime memberships. The FTC claims the company tricked customers into signing up for Prime memberships without their knowledge or consent. They say Amazon intentionally hid billing details and free trial terms. Last week, a judge ruled against the company and said it violated consumer protection laws. This week, a jury will decide if Amazon gave customers consent to enroll and provide simple ways to cancel memberships. Amazon denies any wrongdoing. One film fell short during its debut weekend, and the Directors Guild has a new president. Here's David Daniel with today's Hollywood Minute.
Do you want to go on a big, bold, beautiful journey? maybe he was right to hesitate. A big, bold, beautiful journey starring Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell made just $3.5 million in its debut weekend, far below studio expectations of $10 million. The drama, which opened to poor reviews, cost a reported $45 million to make.
I found the dramatic structure that I felt would really work for a movie.
Oppenheimer director Christopher Nolan is the new president of the Directors Guild of America. He was elected at the DGA's national convention. Nolan has been on the union's national board since 2015 and a member of the guild since 2001.
There you are. I was looking everywhere for you. I'll be your escort this evening.
The latest film in Studio Ghibli Fest 2025 is Howl's Moving Castle. The 2004 supernatural classic from Hayao Miyazaki is in theaters now through Wednesday. More info and tickets at ghiblifest.com. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Well, tomorrow may be your last chance to apply for federal disaster loans if your business or property was damaged during Chantal. Homeowners, renters, and business owners in 8 counties can apply for federal financial assistance. You can do that through the Small Business Administration. Here's a look at what each group could borrow if you're approved. Again, tomorrow is the deadline to apply. For more information, if you're interested, visit WRAL.com. Hurricane Helene was North Carolina's most damaging storm, by the way. Now, WRAL marks 1 year since the disaster with a new documentary focusing on families and communities changed forever. Helene caused catastrophic flooding and mudslides, wiping out more than 185,000 homes, leaving more than 100 families without their loved ones.
We're all missing a different piece. You know, some of us it's parents, some of us it's husbands, cousins, brothers, sister-in-laws, aunts, uncles. Some of us lost 2 people. Some lost 1. Some lost them all.
Just overnight. The documentary investigates why it's taking so long for the area to receive federal funds and the toll that it's taking on some small towns. Helene, What We Lost, What We Found airs Thursday, September 25th on WRAL and streaming on WRAL.com, the WRAL News app, and WRAL's YouTube channel. Well, speaking of storms, we got some breaking news concerning Hurricane Gabrielle. Let's get over to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Weather Center.
Yes, an update just came in from the National Hurricane Center that Hurricane Gabrielle is now a Category 3 storm. Right here is Bermuda. So it's about 200 miles from Bermuda. But the good thing about this is the center of circulation is on the east side. The most damage tends to happen on the east side of the center. And so that's as good as it's going to get, I guess, for folks there in Bermuda. It looks like it could become Category 4 by later on this afternoon. So this storm is undergoing rapid intensification, but it continues to stay on the east side of Bermuda and become Category 3, Category 2, and eventually weaken as it moves on up into the North Atlantic. So, but interesting to watch, certainly, that it's becoming a major hurricane. Of course, that means that there could be some ocean damage, some erosion, that sort of thing. Definitely some heavy surf for folks there in Bermuda. We take a look at what's happening here. It's beautiful. Beautiful start today. Some high thin clouds. 62 degrees is our current temperature. Our dew point is at 60. Today is the first day of fall. If you think about why we have the seasons, it's because the Earth is tilted on its axis. And so the northern hemisphere is tilted toward the sun in the summer, so it's hot. It's tilted away from the sun during the winter, so it's cold. And there are 2 times when we see it's sitting pretty much straight up and down, and that's today, and then again for the spring equinox. Nearly equal amount daylight and darkness, but if you caught Chris just a little while ago, he explained why it's nearly normal today. Our temperatures in the low 60s right now, 63 in Cary, 63 Knightdale and in Garner. We have a high pressure system that's going to help to funnel in warm temperatures. Watch how the orange colors start to take over as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. That's when temperatures climb back up into the 90s. In the meantime, we're looking at low 80s for today, so it'll feel nice and comfortable, but we hit 91 on Wednesday and 90 on Thursday. Not looking at records, but definitely feeling more like summer, Ken.
Yeah, summer did not get the memo. Elizabeth, thanks. Before we go to break, here's a look at your winning lottery numbers. We'll get another check of weather and traffic right after the break.